Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Montgomery Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, May 26th. I'm Tanya Bamford, Chair of the Board of Supervisors. On behalf of my colleagues, welcome. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, a couple announcements. First off, woohoo, our summer concert series is returning with lots of favorites and new bands to enjoy. The concerts will be held every Wednesday evening from June 17th to August 5th, starting at 7 p.m., except for July 1st, which begins at 6 p.m. Each concert will also feature a food truck available for your dining pleasure. And again, those take place at our Community and Recreation Center. We encourage everybody to come out and enjoy those. Also, our summer recreation programs have been published and they are open for registration. We have some fun and exciting opportunities this summer, including story time with the North Wales Area Library, soccer shots, tennis with Fundamental Tennis, Arena NFL Flag Football League, paint parties, specialty summer camps, fitness classes, Junior Firefighter Academy, Adult Basketball League, Badminton Open Play, Cornhole Open Play, pickleball lessons and open play, and much more. Check out all of the offerings at the montcrc.com website. Moving on to public comment. Any persons wishing to make public comment during this meeting on any items that are not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. Please come forward to the microphone and state your name and whether you are a township resident or a business owner. And please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Hi, Joe.
I won't take up much of your time, but I have a problem. I've had a problem for going on 5 years now. And it's been with Pinecrest Golf Course. I don't know how much you know about this whole situation. I moved to this location from Abington, Pennsylvania, from Abington. My grandkids are in North Wales. So I wanted to move into a townhome near them to help my kids out. And it's been nothing but a nightmare in Pinecrest community. You know, my retirement has been awful. You know, I thought I was going to move into a nice area. You know, we looked at the house. It has this really nice pond in the back of the house. But we moved in October, the end of October. So the pond was fine. You know, it was very nice. There was no homes behind us. It was just what we wanted for our retirement. But it's been anything but nice since we moved in. It started in, I think, 2013, where a pipe broke at the 5th hole of Pinecrest Golf Course's, you know, their golf course. The residents, and I wasn't there at the time, but the residents were taking the fish out of the pond and bringing them to another pond so they wouldn't die, which was very nice for us to do. But Pinecrest, they fixed it. My neighbor went down and was talking to the people who were fixing it, and he was an Army engineer, and he knew the materials they were using to fix the pipe that drains the pond out. It just drains right out. And he tells them that you're using the wrong material. You know, they told him to get away, old man. This is fine. Yeah, that's what they told him. And he was telling me about it because he was the one that got me involved in this. Now, I'm the fresh blood. Poor Ben has passed away now. Last week, he passed away. But he started the whole thing. And when I moved in, I picked it up because everybody said Pinecrest won't listen to you. They won't do anything. They say there's no pipes in the ground. It's just evaporation. I remember calling them, and this idiot, Tomiani, kept telling me that it's evaporation. That's a 120-yard pond. It's the fifth hole. It doesn't evaporate like that in weeks. If it doesn't rain, the pond goes down to nothing. Trust me, it goes to nothing. And golfers will go into that pond. They'll jump down in there to get their golf balls. I've seen a man jump down. He went up the mud up to his waist. He could not get out. I had to run down, bring him a towel, and we were trying to pull him out of the pond, because no one wanted to go in the pond to get him out. So just as a hazard, they don't care. They will not listen to you. I've sent photos to everyone. Thank goodness Carolyn took up the mantle. I came over and I spoke to her, and she started the whole process. I sat here 4 years ago with Pinecrest, these people that, have no consideration, not good neighbors at all. That pond is 15 feet from my property. It touches my property. All of our properties, all 6 homes that are affected by it. So Carolyn picked it up for us. She got momentum going. We sat here, and it finally, they lost. I remember their lawyer bringing in the stacks of papers, and I don't know what his plea was. There's a document that says they're the custodians for the pipe. All the infrastructure, they're the custodians. They want Montgomery Township to pay for it. They want our HOA to pay for it. Our HOA has nothing. I can't even go to my HOA and say anything about Pinecrest. They tell me, no, you can't talk to us about it. Even though it was subdivided, and they were given permission to build the subdivision in order that they do this water retention basin and their responsibility for it. But after all these years, things started breaking down. They don't want to take care of it anymore. They're looking for somebody else to take care of it. They're looking for the township to take care of it. They're looking for our HOA to take care of it, but not them. Not them, no. Because I remember Tomiani told me we didn't want to build it in the first place. And
Mr. Esposito, just to be clear, what he's saying is correct at the end. They are looking for the township and they are looking for the HOA to take care of it. And there's active litigation right now where they are seeking that against the township. And I think he's aware of that as well. And obviously we're defending that and saying the township's not responsible for it. And that they, Pinecrest, are solely responsible for it. Is our position as well.
Stop me if I'm not correct with this. I think I pretty much know what's going on.
And as I said, you are correct about what they're trying to do. I want to make sure it's clear what our position is, and the details of that is an active litigation. So there's going to be limited response upon that, but at least I'm acknowledging that that position is correct.
Okay. All right. So we're on the same page with this. I was the person out of my neighbors, because I was fresh blood in the neighborhood. Everybody else tried everything. They said, well, see what you could do. And that's how I got Carolyn involved. So we all sat here, we listened to their lawyer. Made no sense what he was trying to say. But anyway, they eventually lost. But that wasn't good enough. So they appealed it, and it went to the courts in Norristown. Now, I think Judge Tolliver was the judge at that court case. They lost there. Okay, that didn't stop them. They're going to appeal it again. They're kicking the can down the road is what they do, what they're doing, instead of fixing their infrastructure, a pipe that drains the pond out. They won't do it. So it goes there. They lost there. Next thing you know, now we're in Philadelphia's.
Joe,
Mr. Guido, again, that is a second case. The first case is still active, related to them trying to bring that claim against the township and us defending it and saying it's their maintenance issue. That's the private matter that they're pursuing. He's referring to the code enforcement matter that we tried to pursue, but unfortunately there were no codes that the court felt was on point, since it's an older development prior to our stormwater code being in place that we could use to compel the maintenance of it. So we're pursuing those civil remedies as well under the easements and documents and plan notations that were cited. So.
Well, my point is, after all of this, all the summers that I lost sitting behind my house because it's awful. And I sat here and said, how would you like it if you invited people over to sit out in the back of your house and with this mess, the way it looked? and it's a mess. I'm telling you, it's awful. They don't say anything. They don't really care about that. So now it goes to the court in Philadelphia, Court of Common Pleas, and it loses there. And the only reason why it lost there, we would have won that court case, is because they put the wrong name on who the owner of the golf course was. And they didn't tell on the document what needs to be repaired. They just mentioned certain things. There was no remedy according to the court. And for that reason, the court said, oh, forget it, I don't know if we start all over again with this. So the court threw it out and they won. On something like that is like, the name of the company is Golf Course. They should have put Golf Course down there. I don't know why it was such a big deal, but I guess if we don't get it right the first time on the document, it doesn't go any further. So now I'm in 2026 now. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I want to move out of the neighborhood, but I still have my grandkids there. And this is just a nightmare. And I don't know how we could let this property exist in our township. It's the ugliest piece of property you want to see in the summertime.
I
Other
appreciate
than that,
your frustration, sir, but we are out of time for the
I'm done.
comment. But thank you for coming and for your comments. And I think if we have further updates, we can circle back with you offline.
All right. I was told that this is still going on. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know. Carolyn, then I'll check in with you. I'm not pushing it, but I need to get some clarification on this, later on during the year, because I got to make the decision whether I'm staying there, because I can't sell my home until it gets cold. It's unbelievable, but that pond has to be up for it, because no one's going to buy it in a sinkhole like that. So I'll check in with you.
Yep, absolutely. You know where to find me.
And I came here just to find out if this was still going on, and I have some hope that this could get some resolution. Thank you all.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here to make public comment on any agenda item or anything that's not on the agenda? Oh, okay, we'll move on then. The next item is our consent agenda. I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented for the following: the minutes of the May 11th, 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting and payment of bills for May 26, 2026. Any public comment? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to planning and zoning, and we got our first agenda item, and that is to review our zoning hearing board applications. Jesse Hill, zoning officer.
Yeah, we have a zoning application. We also have a request, Mary Mother, Redeemer Church.
Okay, that's our next agenda item. But so in terms of the one application, I guess here, which is Megan Fink and Sean Smeltzer at 102 Brook Circle, and their requests. I guess the owners of this 15,230 square foot property. It's located in an R5 residential zoning district, and the applicant proposes constructing a paver deck around a newly installed in-ground swimming pool. Any concerns about this application and the variance they're looking for?
I think it's pretty straightforward. It's a dimensional variance. They're allowed 15. They're asking for a 6-foot setback. So
Okay.
I don't think.
So we
There's
think
much
we
more.
just allow the zoning hearing board to handle this without any interaction. Okay. All right. Now we'll move on to agenda item 7, which is the request for a waiver of fees from Mary Mother of the Redeemer Church, Carolyn McCree, Township Manager.
Thank you. The township received a request dated May 12th from Samuel Garrett, the business manager at Mary Mother of the Redeemer Church, to consider waiving the fees for the associated permits for their annual summer festival, which will be held from June 16th through June 20th. The board has waived permit fees for this event in the past, and the fees are calculated to be $149.50 for both the special event and the electric permit.
I think we'd be happy to waive those fees for them. So I will move to approve the waiver of fees for the Mary Mother of the Redeemer Church Annual Summer Festival. Is there a second?
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. And still in planning and zoning agenda item 8, we've got the preliminary final land development for Lymphacare at 101 Commerce Drive. Carolyn McCurry, Township Manager.
This property is a 2.43 acre parcel located within the limited industrial district at the corner of Stump Road and Commerce Drive. The applicant is proposing an expansion of the existing parking area, modification of the existing driveway, and new stormwater best management practices. There is no proposed building expansion. The proposed changes are to accommodate additional employees as the business operations are being consolidated to this location in the township. The land development plan was presented to the Planning Commission at their May 21st public meeting. A letter noting the applicant's requested revisions was revised on May 20th and provided to the Planning Commission for review and comment. The applicant waiver request letter and the review letters by our consultants and staff are included in your packet. No comments were provided by the police department, and the applicant's engineer stated at the Planning Commission meeting that the fire department's comments are, quote, will comply, end quote. Among the waivers being requested are providing a traffic management study, parking space size, providing sidewalk along Commerce Drive, spacing of shade trees, and quantity of shade trees. The applicant is here tonight with their attorney and their engineer.
Good evening. Nice to see you. Kristen Pianzio from Hamburg, Rubin, Mullen, Maxwell, and Lupin. Carolyn stole my thunder. I'm here with Ad Brenziger from Shoemaker Engineers. Tom Dorn, the owner of Lymphacare and the property. He owns it with his wife as well as the business, is here in the second row. And Rachel Vay, he is our landscape architect, in case you have any questions about that. So the idea behind this project is Lymphacare started in 2000 with 2 employees. They now have 75. Tom and his wife started this business, and they're now straddling 2 properties in the township, 521 Stump Road and 101 Commerce. They would like to get their employees under one roof. So they've been renting 101 Commerce since 2015 and purchased it last year. They had 4,000 square feet. There's an additional 10,000 that they can consume in the building, and there's 6,000 from Master Tech who will remain. So the idea is to keep them here in the township, get everybody in one building, and have them relocate here. So in order to do that, they need more parking. Usually I come in asking for less parking, but in this case, we want more so that everybody can fit and not spill over into the streets. So we started with a staff meeting here at the township. We ran fire truck circulations first, make sure that everything was safe. We went to the zoning hearing board, we went to the planning commission, and I gave you a copy of the waivers, most of which I don't think will give you any heartburn. We know that trees and sidewalk are big items for you guys, so I figured I would focus on that, but I could go over real quickly what the other ones are. I don't think any of them are new, although one is weird about the existing lights on the building. So we have existing features, streets and grades within 400 feet. We gave an aerial for that. That's typical. Interior curbs, your code requires 8 inches. We're doing 6 inches. Your pipe size is 18 inches. That's usually for streets. We're suggesting 15 inches. We went to the zoning hearing board for 9 by 18 parking spaces because that's what's existing on the property, and we want to replicate that throughout the property. So that's a waiver for that. We asked for a waiver traffic impact study because the traffic is remaining. It's the same people in the same area. They're just moving over. So that's a waiver. We asked for Gilmore to review the erosion and sedimentation plans instead of sending that to Montgomery County Conservation District. And the wall fixture one, there's an item in your code that they provide the standards according to blah, blah, blah regarding the wall fixtures, but they're old and we don't know anything about them and they've been working fine. So that's technically a waiver on that. So getting to the landscaping. Along Stump Road, we have long hanging wires, if you haven't noticed, on Stump and Commerce. And when you have street trees underneath wires, we need to do small shade street trees that don't grow tall into the wires. And when you do that, the code says that these species have to be 1.5-inch caliper, and you need 2 instead of 1. So we're required 5 on Stump and 6 on Commerce. We have utility conflicts along Stump. So that's 11 total. We can put 9 trees on Commerce. So there's 2 right there that we need a waiver for. We look to find another place on the property to put those 2. We can't find them. We'd like to pay a fee in lieu of the 2 that we're short. The other weird item is when you fall into this small tree category, the code requires the 1.5-inch caliper tree and a certain spacing. We would like to do a 2.5-inch caliper tree and do the spacing for 2.5-inch caliper trees at that quantity, 1 for 1, instead of the 2 for 1 for the 1.5 as the code requires. If you follow. Pay the fee for the difference. The other waiver has to do with parking lot plantings. The code requires shade on all the parking lot. We have an existing parking lot, but we can do the 9 trees along the front. We have a shade tree here against the building. We have 2 ornamentals here. We can do another shade here. And then we have these. We have all these utility conflicts where the new parking is. So that's why we're asking for a waiver. So we're filling in with lots of landscaping everywhere we can. We just can't shade all of it. It is a small parking lot, unlike a shopping center where you really have a lot of asphalt where you do want shade to bring the temperature down and create some comfort. We don't think we have that big of a problem here. And we have a lot of non-conforming and conflict issues.
And at the bottom of your illustration there, that's Commerce Drive, and then to the left is Stump.
Yes, correct.
Just orienting myself.
It's busy. Yeah.
Well, it's, from a distance.
Yeah, these are the circles of the shade trees we can get with the spacing, 9 across the bottom.
So what does this do to your total impervious surface for the parcel? Is there any issue related to?
No, we didn't need relief for impervious.
We got a variance for that.
Did we? Oh, Chad knows better.
Slightly.
Let me see. I brought the
I
decision.
don't have
Hang
the
on.
exact numbers on my,
I have
actually, when we went to the zoning hearing board, our lot was a smidgen smaller. Is that a word that I can use professionally?
I have it here. We have 67.3% impervious where 65 is required.
One of the other items that came up.
Yeah, use that.
One of the other items that came up, there's a piece of non-officially vacated portion of the Stump Road right away that was not considered at the zoning hearing. So our lot area that we testified to was actually a little bit smaller. As part of this application, we're also petitioning to formally vacate this area of Stump Road that was created when Stump Road was realigned. There was actually a strip of no man's land here that wasn't owned by anybody.
So we didn't include that in
It
our
wasn't included
calculation.
in the calculations for the zoning hearing board. So although we got relief, we still got that relief. The intensity of our relief actually went down slightly because our lot area went up. So we still exceed slightly, but we exceed less now than we did when we got the relief. If that makes sense. Because we added about, I think that's what, 7,000 square feet of lot or something, as long as the vacation is.
And that vacation is going to come, still will need to come before this board for an ordinance. It is something that the staff looked at, Public Works looked at, engineering looked at, and didn't have any objection to the vacation. It's obviously something that would pass the liability off of us. It's something that the township's not going to need in the future because of the road realignment. There are going to be utility easements that they will provide us. As mentioned, there are utilities in the area, and for any of that portion that flows into the detention basin for the community center, will be a proportionate share of responsibility for that as well. So there's no loss really to the township. There's no use of that area. And again, it was created based upon that road realignment, where oftentimes PennDOT sometimes would pass it on to the actual adjoining lot owner, but they just kind of left this for the township.
Okay.
So that will have to come before you because it has to be done by an ordinance in the hearing.
So the stormwater management is, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly, because you're actually, for the stormwater pipe, you're looking for a smaller circumference, right, in the pipe size there that would flow into that basin.
Yes, that is correct.
So we're already exceeding the maximum threshold of impervious surface, and so runoff would potentially be, you know, significant into a smaller pipe than is established by code. Is that likely going to result in flooding? Or
No, the pipe sizes are still set by our project parameters. So like I still size the pipes based on the ordinances required. If you design a larger shopping center, a larger complex, you know, you use larger pipes to convey the water, but I still size the pipes accordingly. And some of the relief here for the pipe size is actually integral to the system itself. So the pipe size actually does restrict the flows, is actually a control measure of the system, if that makes sense.
how?
It slows.
It slows the water down. So as part of the design requirements, we're required to reduce the flow rates from offsite. So one of the tricks in our bag of tricks for stormwater is to adjust the outlet structure of the water of the basin. So we actually have more or less a two-part system. So
Do you want to look at that closer? Do you want to, since it's just us, no one else is here.
You guys don't mind, do you? Okay.
So at the end of the run, we have a rain garden, big rain garden. It's going to act like a detention basin, but it's more or less sized like a rain garden, but it's calculated like a detention basin. Upstream of that, we have an underground stone bed for storage. Basically, I don't have enough room anywhere on site to do it all at one spot, so we basically break it up. The pipe that drains this system into this inlet and subsequently into the rain garden is an 8-inch pipe. To slow this water down, it actually controls the water so the rain garden isn't inundated with water all at the same time. So basically, it chokes the water back into here, and then if this overflowed, it would still end up in this system ultimately.
Slows it down.
It just slows it down, so that way,
Which is good.
when it goes to the outlet structure here, where this is the final control measure basically, and this is a 15-inch outfall pipe, which I think is still, what's the township minimum size, 18 inches, but 15 is still adequate for this because again, this is part of the control structure.
Okay.
So we're not carrying bulk conveyance from a parking lot. It's actually being reduced and managed by the system itself. And all those calculations are included in my stormwater report that your township engineer reviews. So it's just a formality to ask for the relief because we're actually designing the pipes specific to this project and not just a blanket, throw an 18-inch pipe in there and cross your fingers. All the calculations are provided for each individual.
The township engineer did not have any issues with the stormwater.
They didn't flag that as an issue. Okay. All right.
And this is one of the, we do this all the time. This is our thing with stormwater management. We have to play with all the tricks and you go out and look at one of those concrete boxes, a lot of weird holes and that all means stuff. We're the ones that figure that out. So it's all part of the puzzle to make the stormwater rates meet the township stormwater ordinance.
And your code's not unique. We have this waiver everywhere I go because everyone has an 18-inch pipe requirement. And by the time the engineers are done, it's always smaller. It's usually 15 in most cases.
And sometimes the ordinance calls for concrete pipes, but HDPE pipes are better now because they weren't a thing when the ordinance were adopted. So it's all just part of the evolution of our world.
Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation. Although I'm concerned about the lack of sidewalks along Commerce on the frontage there.
Yeah.
That is something that I would like to see, especially as you're adding, parking and more people who would want to potentially avail themselves of our beautiful paths and access to the community and recreation center. We have a rapid flashing beacon going in that vicinity, which is going to be able to connect them also to the retail shopping plaza that's across Stump Road.
Well, you might feel that way. We were going to offer a fee in lieu of the sidewalk, thinking there might be a gap somewhere because there's nothing up Commerce in that whole center. And I don't see any other land developments coming to fit it all in along that way. So it's your choice. We'll put it in. If you want it in, we can give you a fee in lieu. If you think that sidewalk connection could be better used somewhere else in the vicinity of these connections that you're working on. I just don't think you're really going to finish the loop in the industrial park, but it's your choice. We've asked for the waiver for your decision.
I'd like to see the sidewalk. I think it's a pedestrian refuge for your own employees. It's for their own benefit. I'd say invest in the sidewalks. That's my take.
I agree. Yeah, I'm on board with that too. We'll go along. I mean, I hear their point. It's a business and people are coming to work and leaving. I don't know how many of their employees will actually use the sidewalk, but
they might
we
go over
are
get
trying
pizza
to
for
connect
lunch,
everything.
whatever.
Take a walk with them.
Yeah.
Okay. I want it to be your choice. Okay, we'll put it in.
I have a question about trees.
Okay.
My understanding is that the 1.5 caliber is a much better choice for trees as they are starting off in terms of, yes. So please, tree expert, help me here.
Yes, that's why I brought her.
Yes.
Now you're getting above my pay grade.
Hi, Rachel Vahey. You are not incorrect. Generally, smaller trees in general tend to adapt more easily to being transplanted and things like that. Just, your code. I don't think your code has a decreased size because of that reason. Just based on your code, generally a shade tree, a maple, oak is, a bigger caliber, 2.5 inch. The smaller ornamental trees, which your code allows at, closer spacing, or just generally smaller in stature tree. So proportionally, I think that's why the 1.5 inch is there. And as Kristen said, we're proposing 2.5 inch because we know we have a deficiency of those couple of trees. If you would rather see them at 1.5 inch and we provide the deficiency for the two, that we're losing, that's fine. I was merely trying to compensate a little bit. It'll be a little bit bigger tree on install. I think there's been studies that show trees catch up. So,
Right.
not
My preference would be to have a successful tree.
Sure.
So I think the 1.5 is probably the better way to go.
Right.
Just from, again, I'm not an expert in this, but I
Mhm.
know experts. So
Yeah,
this is what they've been told.
Yeah, and we were just saying that at the 1.5 tree, your ordinance triggers sort of a 2-to-1, which we don't have the space for because we already don't have the space along Stump at all for trees with the overhead lines. And we have overhead lines also on Commerce. So we were trying to give you kind of the most bang for your buck, and that's your choice if you want them to go in at the smaller caliper. I mean, I don't think we have issue with that. It would just be, how do we want to determine our deficiency?
The deficiency.
Yeah.
Right. My preference would be going with what experts think about going with a 1.5 inch. That would be my thought. Knowing there will be a deficiency.
No comment. No other questions or concerns. Audrey?
No.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any concerns from staff from when you review others. And again, it would be come before you for a decision on that vacation. However, that's be independent of what you want to do. So if you do think that you still need the waiver at 1.5,
Yeah.
Because you're going to be
Well, we
short
need a waiver for the quantity.
the quantity, and then you say you would do the tree replacement, being loose for those that would not fit.
Right.
And then it sounds like you're looking to deny the waiver request for the sidewalk.
Correct. Are there anything else?
No. Did you have anything else that you need to
Nope,
present?
that's it.
Okay.
Planning commission was fine with all of the requests.
Thank you for the planning commission's input. Okay, well then I'll move to adopt resolution 2026-15, granting preliminary final land development approval of LDS 26-006 for Lymphacare with the exceptions noted,
Denial of the waiver for the sidewalk.
and the denial of the waiver for the sidewalk. Is there a second?
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor say aye.
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 Great, thank you. It's nice
Thank
to
you.
see you.
Thank you.
John, do you want to sign the last page and give this to you now? Okay, I have a page. I'll just hand it to you in a minute. Thank you. Nice to see everybody.
Good to see you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for keeping your business in Montgomery Township.
All right. Moving on to public safety. Agenda item 9 is to review the no parking enforcement on cul-de-sac issue. And for that one, we have our chief of police, William Peoples.
Thank you. In 2023 and 2024, the Montgomery Township Police Department received several traffic complaints regarding vehicles parking in center areas of the cul-de-sac on Damison Lane and Deer Path Lane. This practice presents a significant public safety concern, as parked vehicles may prevent fire apparatus and other emergency vehicles from safely entering and maneuvering within the cul-de-sac to reach a residence in need of emergency services. Additionally, parking in these locations constitutes a violation of Pennsylvania Vehicle Code Title 75, Section 3354A. In August of 2023, the Montgomery Township Police Department Highway Safety Unit, in coordination with the Montgomery Township Fire Department, conducted a traffic study and safety study to evaluate whether a limited number of parked spaces could be safely permitted within the center portion of the cul-de-sac. The study included the use of aerial drone imagery and traffic cones simulated parked vehicles while a fire truck attempted to navigate the cul-de-sac. The result of the study determined that allowing vehicles to park within the center of the cul-de-sac is not feasible. Fire apparatus was unable to safely traverse the cul-de-sac without the risk of striking parked vehicles, potentially causing damage to the emergency equipment and rendering a firefighting apparatus inoperable during emergency situations. Study further determined that additional no parking restrictions along the portions of the curb line would be necessary to ensure adequate access for emergency vehicles entering and exiting the cul-de-sac. Based upon the findings and the recommendations of the Highway Safety Unit and the Fire Department, it was recommended that the center portion of the cul-de-sacs be painted and striped with no parking markings. This recommendation was presented to the Public Safety Committee on April 30th, 2026. Following discussion, the committee recommended that the police department first provide written notification to residents affected by these concerns prior to any consideration of roadway painting or striping. The Montgomery Township Police Department is currently preparing informational letters to residents and public service announcements for social media platforms to educate the public regarding the safety hazards and legal violations associated with parking in the center areas of cul-de-sacs.
So please thank the Public Safety Committee and accept our thanks as well, Chief, for your work on this issue. So is it that you want consensus from the board to move forward with these notifications?
I'm sorry.
You're just looking for board
What we're
consensus?
planning to do is like an educational campaign. What we're going to do right now, then we're going to see where we're at with further violations, and then we'll go to the Public Safety Committee again, and then another letter will go out if we're going to be doing the striping.
We just want to make sure that the board is aware of what our plan is and that you're okay with what Chief has outlined. This sort of falls in line with the traffic calming policy, that come to the board, explain the situation, the fact that this is actually a violation of the existing Pennsylvania code. It's not something that we're putting in new. And then we'll all the residents who are going to be directly affected obviously would get physical letters to their homes,
Right.
but we still want to make sure that we remind everybody in the township, you know, especially if they have visitors coming in, that there is a danger. I mean, even for an EMS vehicle to get through, Officer McGuigan, I believe, had a patrol
Yes.
vehicle, and you know, our vehicles are larger, they're not little tiny smart cars, and he struggled to get through one of the cul-de-sacs. I saw the video, and that's concerning. You know, fire truck, somebody can say, what are the chances of a fire truck? An ambulance, there's a much greater chance that an ambulance needs to come into a neighborhood, and we need to make sure that they can get to where they need to go.
I just want to jump in and say, I know we have a couple people may want to make comment. I did speak with Supervisor Pelletier, who is the liaison to the Public Safety Committee. He was impressed with the presentation and felt very comfortable with the recommendation, accepting the recommendation from the Public Safety Committee on this matter.
I think it's important to note that both of those cul-de-sacs are very densely populated cul-de-sacs. So we do need to keep it safe so that a fire truck can get in, because a fire in one can easily spread to the whole row.
Right.
So while people are going to be mad about this because they're used to parking in those things, I think ultimately it is keeping everyone's home safe in the event of an emergency.
Right. And I think that, as Candace said, I think what we really need to do is have public information that really goes out to communicate this, so that everyone, not only the people, that residents that are getting the letter, but also visitors and people living in the neighborhood can, we'll have overflow parking in the cul-de-sac for whenever they have events, et cetera. So I think it's really an important thing to think about, even when people are saying, oh, we have an event or party, that people park on both sides of that it's hard to navigate how an actual car through some of these, much less emergency vehicles. So putting that in someone's mind really could make a difference in safety for not only people in cul-de-sacs, but elsewhere.
Thank you for those remarks. If there's no further comment, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 10, the Grays Lane traffic calming update. And again, we have our Chief of Police, William Peoples.
Thank you. Between April 2023 and January 2024, the Montgomery Township Police Department received traffic complaints for speeding on Grays Lane. The Highway Safety Unit conducted a traffic study and found that there was indeed a speeding problem on Grays Lane, with the 85th percentile of speed being 36.6 miles per hour in a posted 25 mile per hour speed zone, and a traffic enforceable speed of 19% of vehicles traveling on Grays Lane. Based on this information, the Highway Safety Unit, in conjunction with the Public Safety Committee and the Township's traffic engineers, made a decision to install traffic calming devices in the form of chicanes. In April of 2025, chicanes were installed on Grays Lane to address this speeding issue. While the chicanes were in place, the 85th percentile speed was reduced to 30.3 miles per hour, and the traffic enforceable speed violation was reduced to 3% for vehicles traveling on Grays Lane. In May of 2025, it was decided to remove the chicanes from Grays Lane. An independent traffic study was conducted by PennDOT's Local Technical Assistance Program, or LTAP. After the chicanes were removed, the Montgomery Township Police Department conducted several traffic enforcement details to deter and educate the public about speeding issues on Grays Lane. Additionally, the Montgomery Township Police Department Highway Safety Unit deployed the educational speed trailer and speed signs on Grays Lane to further educate drivers. Additional speed timing lines were also painted on Grays Lane to give officers more locations to enforce vehicular speeding. At the conclusion of the traffic study on October 24th, 2025, LTAP recommended the creation of a traffic calming policy. The police department created a traffic calming policy based on PennDOT regulations and best practices. This traffic calming policy was presented and recommended by the Public Safety Committee on February 4th, 2026, and adopted by the Board of Supervisors at the February 23rd, 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting. In March of 2026, the Montgomery Township Police Department Highway Safety Unit conducted another traffic study for Grays Lane. This study resulted in 85 percentile of vehicles traffic speed to be 32.2 miles per hour, and the speed violations were recorded at 6% of the vehicles traveling on Grays Lane. Based on this traffic study, Grays Lane would not qualify under the new traffic calming policy for any further action. Opinion of the Montgomery Township Police Department that the recent traffic study has shown that the extra speed timing device locations, police traffic enforcement, and education have been effective in lowering the speed on Grays Lane significantly. The above information was presented to the Public Safety Committee on April 30th, 2026. It is the Public Safety Committee's recommendation that the police department continue to monitor and enforce speed limit on Grays Lane and conduct future traffic studies as needed.
Thank you, Chief. Well, I'm happy to learn that we've had sort of this prolonged reduction of speed on that stretch of road. I know that we do have some residents from that area. Would you guys like to come and make public comment?
My name's Katie Stout. I live at 107 Cove Circle. So I was right in the center of the squiggly lines a year ago and came here for the first time with the rest of the community to complain about walking out my door and seeing that one day. So it's gotten me and my daughter more involved. I looked at the agenda when it was posted at the end of last week, and I think it's a credit to the police department and everybody who's been out over the past several months in the different sections, really bringing the traffic down. I think a lot of it's coming from 5 Points, because I know I will avoid 5 Points as much as I can. So I will stay on Grays, go this way rather than go up to 5 Points. So I like to think with more education and awareness in the neighborhood, I myself keep an eye on what I'm doing more than I think I did before, which is good. And then once construction starts changing, traffic flow will naturally change. But I think it's been a really good thing to see over the past year. So thank you very much. And thank for the board for listening, because I believe, Ms. Ware, you said, so you want them gone and you want more police. And we said yes. And you said you want police to give tickets, and we said yes. And I think this proved that we were heard and that it was proven to be somewhat more effective, almost as effective as the chicanes. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stout. One of the things that I will say as also a resident who lives in that neighborhood is that, you know, we have, although the chicanes were taken out, we have these sort of ghost lines that are still present, which I actually think provide a good visual reminder that, you know, people are supposed to slow down through here. And if we don't want squiggly lines or any other traffic coming, applied here, it's a good idea to monitor our speed. Now that road is scheduled to be paved in 2029 on our schedule. So it'll, I think we should have a note sort of in the file somewhere to make sure that we continue to monitor it. And because if we pave over when we pave over the ghost lines and they're not there as that sort of visual reminder any longer, if we see increased speeds again, of course, we can always revisit that issue. Any other comments?
Is there, I know it says that we'll look to future traffic studies as needed. So was there any discussion at the public safety or, that this is a once a year quarterly, or is it just, the community brings it to our attention and then we conduct one?
No, I'd say we probably want to do a study in another couple of years. The highway safety unit, they're the ones that are really on top of it. So they're the ones that are doing a lot of the details out there. So they'll actually see the speed. If the speed's starting to creep up on their details, it certainly could force us to do a study a little bit earlier.
And I believe the policy does have a portion in there that talks about how frequently a traffic study would be done. So if we find nothing, it's not like we go out in 6 months or a year, we wait again, because there's a chance that not a lot has changed, unless all of a sudden the highway safety officers or residents come in and say, school's not in session and people are just tearing through the neighborhood. Then we would look at it and see what, what's changed out there.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to Parks and Recreation. Agenda item 11 is the award of the bid for Whistle Stop Park Improvement Project. Our township manager has this one, Carolyn McCreary.
Thank you.
Whistle Stop Park Improvement Project includes the removal and replacement of outdated play equipment with a new accessible, inclusive playground with sensory components located adjacent to the pavilion. The playground will include a poured and play safety surfacing, shade structures, and perimeter fencing. The existing playground area will be converted into a picnic grove. 6 pickleball courts will be added. The softball field will be updated with a new backstop, heavy-duty fencing, and new play benches and bleachers. A loop trail with ADA access to the softball field and other park amenities is going to be added, and improvements will be made to the existing path to meet ADA requirements. The existing rain garden will be rehabilitated and existing stormwater issues will be addressed. When completed, this project will enable children and others of all abilities to play and recreate in a safe and inclusive place. 9 bids were received for the project utilizing Penn Bid. The bids were opened on April 30th, 2026 at 10 a.m. The bids range from $1,071,957.94 to $1,795,000, with A.H. Cornell & Son Incorporated submitting the lowest bid. The township has also received grants from DCNR and DCED in the amounts of $250,000 and $125,000 respectively. $1.5 million is included in the 2026 capital budget and planned for in the capital investment plan. Tonight, we are asking the board to award the bid for the Whistle Stop Park Improvement Project.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Quick question where it says base bid. In my world, that means there's gonna be an upgrade somewhere.
No, this is the bid that they're locked into. Unless they would dig in and find an unforeseen condition in the surface, this is the bid that we are awarding them and that they are locked into.
Okay.
Good question. Any other questions from the board on this? No, hearing none. I will move to award the bid for the Whistle Stop Park Improvement Project in the amount of $1,071,957.94 to A.H. Cornell & Son, Inc., the lowest responsible bidder, per the recommendation of Gilmore and Associates dated on May 15th, 2026.
Second.
Any public comment? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. All right, moving on to administration and finance. We have agenda item 12, which is the employee 401A and 457B plan administrator change. Blaine Berge, Director of Finance.
The township's current 401A and 457B plan administrator is Empower Investments. Late last year, the township began discussions with Equitable Retirement. Staff recommends moving the holdings to Equitable because it offers lower fees for employees and includes access to 2 certified financial planners within the existing fee structure. Staff has been kept informed through department level meetings and a township-wide meeting with Equitable's representative and financial planners. Staff has expressed strong support for the change. The change is scheduled to take effect on July 1, 2026. Special thanks to Meg Swigert, the township's HR coordinator, for her extensive work and research on the matter and her thoroughness and knowledge of the subject. There is no budget impact for the township as this involves employee funds only. So no action is required by the board for these items.
Any comments or questions? Nope. No? All right. Thank you, Blaine. All right. Is there any old business to come before the board? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to new business and department reports.
There is no department report this evening for you.
Okay. Well, our other reports were included in our packet. Did anybody have any questions, related to any of the data that's shared? I just want to thank all of our department heads because they do a really great job of preparing a comprehensive packet for us of their activities. So thank you guys for all of your hard work. Committee liaison reports. Anyone want to share what's been going on in their committees?
I'll start. Shade Tree had a really successful Arbor Day. Lots of trees were given away, not too much else going on there. And then Planning Commission, we all just heard what was the planning commission news for this month, and that's it.
Have we heard anything more about that one property that's for sale, the Goldberg Group for the water tower shopping plaza? Anything going on there?
No word.
No word.
Just that it came on.
Just that it was listed. Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious to know. I actually got off easy this month. We had no meetings.
Well, the Environmental Advisory Committee, we distributed 50 native pollinator plant sets to residents who have agreed to replace a portion of their lawn and their grass. And they are replacing that by putting down cardboard, which anyone can do. You actually just put down your old cardboard boxes flat, removing all the plastic tapes and labels, and then adding a little bit of mulch or wood chips on top. We actually did a small portion of this as an as a demo at the rec center, and tomorrow I will be placing 2 sets of these, so about 50 plants into that small new pollinator garden at the rec center. So I appreciate Public Works giving us some of that. Their wood chips dumped there and spread out. And that's been very successful. Hopefully that will be a good advantage for our residents. And also our Parks and Rec Board met as well. And one thing I will add is that, we are going to do park cleanups on a monthly basis. And the first park cleanup that we're going to be doing is coming up here on May 31st. Hold on, I have to get the details here. Here we are. It's going to be at Autumn Woods Park, which is on Richardson Road. And what we're trying to do is not only get residents to come out as a community just for 1 hour from 12 to 1 p.m. on Sunday, May 31st. Autumn Woods, again, is right on Richardson Road. It's for 1 hour. You can just bring some sturdy gardening gloves and sturdy shoes, and we'll be having them sign waivers. But also we'll have bags there. But people can explore the parks together. We can do that together, clean it up, and take pride in our beautiful parks. So this will be the second park cleanup, and we'll be doing this about once monthly. So please come out if you can. That's it.
And I'll add on to the park cleanup. So one of the folks at the Park and Rec is a member there.
Jesse.
And then Jesse is also a senior committee member. So he did mention and shared with us about the park cleanup to see if, any of the members of the senior committee would be interested in coming out. So one of the things that was on our topic at our meeting. And then also I had mentioned at our last meeting that we were looking at putting together our walking group. So we officially started today, our first walk. So it's going to be just twice a week. Right now we're kind of starting it slow and see how it feels for everyone. And it's for anyone to come out we came up with Tuesday and Thursday, Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Thursday 6:30, because we had folks that came to the meeting to say, hey, I still work, I'll never make a morning walk, so can we?
So 6:30 p.m. Please tell me.
PM. Because we definitely had, when we were looking at time, we had folks that would love to come earlier than 9, and then some that said, let's wait until 12 o'clock. But then we also had, it was mentioned that, hey, I still work, I won't make any of those. So right now it's one morning and one evening. And every month we will change our location. So for the remainder of this month into the entire month of June, we'll be at the rec center. So we meet at the bottom of the steps of the rec center. And then July, we'll look at doing one of our wonderful park locations and change there. So same for you, if anyone.
Are there walks indoor or outdoor?
Outdoor. So we actually right now, because the group is small, there's probably about 9 folks. And I created a kind of a text chain so that we can, say that, if for whatever reason it's too hot, or we can say we'll go inside, or we'll go to the mall, or we'll meet somewhere different. We'll make a decision the night before. Weather's not good, and we'll make a decision the night before. And that's our form of communication. We said, well, right now, if this grows to 100 people, we'll have to think about something different. But right now it's working. And when I say it's working, again, today was the first walk, but leading up to today, our communication on the meeting and sharing with the potential walkers. So, so that has started. We'll see how it goes, just to get, and again, it's not just for seniors, it's for anyone that wants to just get out and move for about 30 minutes.
Fantastic. Well, you had beautiful weather for it today.
It was gorgeous. Yeah, it was gorgeous. I did not realize the hills that are on the trail at the rec center. And yeah, it was interesting. And so we, everyone, any level of walker is welcome. And, we are, it's not, you go at your speed. Go at your speed. It's not something that you must attend. If you attend today and then we don't see you, for 2 more weeks, but then you come back, great. It's kind of just an open forum right now, but those are the set days and the set times.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Anybody out there listening, make sure that you
Come
get
on
those
out.
walking shoes.
Yeah.
Get out and enjoy some fresh air with their senior committee. All right, fantastic. Any other reports, comments?
Yours?
Oh,
she was-
I got off easy. Yeah, the BDP was canceled. Sewer authority happened in the midst of a storm, and so I excused myself from going out to that one. But there wasn't anything major on the agenda. So I got the brief from Shannon Droznak, who's our wonderful executive director. So if there's no further business to come before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, second.
You moved and seconded?
Yep.
I'll second it for you. How about that? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Have a great night, everybody.